Recently, I was asked by fellow YouTuber Drew McCoy, also known as Genetically Modified Skeptic, to help him analyze an argument made by Ben Shapiro, where Ben claims that discoveries in genetics suggest the existence of God. Now, before moving on, let me be really clear about this. So long as people aren't jerks about it, I have no qualms with anyone wanting to believe in a God or in multiple gods. The truth is, all of us, we are born naked and confused on this strange planet. Life is weird. What exactly are we? How did we get here? Where might we be going? As of now, science can only partially answer the first two of these questions, and the third one, that is a genuine mystery. Maybe our species, or something we give rise to, will eventually go on to conquer the entire cosmos, converting all matter and all harvestable energy into an expansion of human-like consciousness. Or we might just hunt each other to extinction. In your struggle for existence on this seemingly magical planet, a world full of wonder and sheer terror, believing in the gods of your ancestors really might help bring you the comfort and the discipline you seek. But when I look at the sheer diversity of religious thought around the world and all through history, it seems clear to me that these specific gods people worship, they are cultural inventions. As an educator, it really bothers me when people misrepresent science in order to make it seem like their specific political or specific religious dogmas are correct. Now, Ben's argument that I'll be critiquing today, it is broad. He never explicitly says which god he's trying to convince us to believe in, but it's clear from the rest of his work that he wants you to worship the God of his ancestors, the God of Abraham, Moses, and Aaron. Let's hear what Ben Shapiro has to say, and then I will show you my clip, which I sent in response for Drew McCoy to use on his YouTube channel, Genetically Modified Skeptic. By the way, welcome to all the new subscribers sent here by Drew. I can't wait to hear from you, and I can't wait to see you interact with the rest of the crew down in the comments section. So yeah, tell us who you are and why you think it was worth it subscribing to the Stated Casually channel. And actually, to anyone who's been here for a while, I'd love to hear the same from you as well. What brought you here and what keeps you coming back? Here is Ben Shapiro.
Stephen Meyer, an intelligent design advocate, points out that the transmission of information via cellular processes looks an awful lot like an intelligent creator transmitting information. Our experience of the world shows that what we recognize as information invariably reflects the prior activity of conscious and intelligent persons. What then should we make of the presence of information in living organisms?
Here is the Stephen Meyer quote that deceived Ben Shapiro. Now, in order to spot the deception here, the deception which Stephen Meyer presents in the form of a carefully crafted half-truth, we need to understand signaling theory. This is a subfield of evolutionary biology that's not super well known to the general public and apparently is not known to Ben Shapiro, given that he seems to have fallen for Meyer's trick. Let's unpack the deception by first looking at what Stephen Meyer says that is true, and then we'll look at what he is carefully hiding from his followers. So when he says the transmission of information via cellular processes looks an awful lot like an intelligent creator transmitting information, that's a pretty fair claim. The world of biology is chock full of signaling systems. Many of those systems function in fundamentally the same way as man-made signaling systems. Right now, I am using a man-made signaling system, a system called English, to transmit information from my brain into your brain. Of course, English was not intentionally crafted by an intelligent designer. Instead, it emerged from a culture, but it does require intelligent minds, or carefully designed AIs, to send and receive English messages. English words contain symbolic meaning. In other words, each word or each symbol only has its specific meaning within the signaling system we call English. Quando falo português, muita gente não entende, inclusive brasileiros, porque tenho sotaque forte. Even if you don't speak Portuguese, you might have found the noise that I just made amusing. Or maybe you found it annoying or pretentious. Well, the point is, if you don't understand Portuguese, you cannot access the information that I just transmitted. That's because the information is symbolic. Symbols only have specific meaning within a specific signaling system. We see the same thing all throughout biology. Plants, for example, they use flowers to communicate with pollinators. Instead of transmitting sounds, they use colors as their symbols, sunlight reflected at specific wavelengths off their petals. They also use fragrances as symbols, signaling molecules produced by plant cells that are released through the air. Just like many Americans find the sound of Portuguese to be amusing, even though they don't understand the meanings of the symbols, people have long been amused by the colors and fragrances of flowers, and they found them amusing long before they understood that those colors and fragrances are symbols in a communication system that exists between plants and pollinators. The endocrine system, I'm talking about hormones here. This is a biological signaling system that allows chemical messages to be transmitted between distant cells in your body, and they do this through your bloodstream. The bloodstream is the channel that they send those messages through. Your genes are also part of a signaling system. Signaling that allows the nuclei of your cells to transmit messages to the ribosomes of your cells. Again, those messages only have meaning within the context of the genetic signaling system. It took scientists many years to crack the genetic code, and we still don't understand everything about genetic signaling. So, sure, the first part of Stephen Meyer's claim is okay. It's fine. The transmission of information via cellular processes really does look a lot like how we transmit information via language and various coding systems we invented to transmit information through wires, radio waves, and so on. But then he goes on to say this. Our experience of the world shows that what we recognize as information invariably reflects the prior activity of conscious and intelligent persons. What then should we make of the presence of information in living organisms? This is where Stephen Meyer is deceiving his audience, and he's doing it very carefully. Instead of explicitly lying to deceive, he simply hides a very important fact from his followers. Stephen Meyer has a PhD in the history and philosophy of science, and he got that from Cambridge University. Knowing that about his educational background, it is pretty much guaranteed that Stephen Meyer understands exactly what scientists make of information found in living organisms. Decades ago, biologists discovered how signaling systems naturally emerge. Signaling systems, symbol-based information systems, they can arise whenever two or more evolving entities, so an evolving entity would be something like a stretch of DNA or a stretch of RNA or an entire organism. Signaling systems can arise whenever two or more evolving entities are under selection pressure to cooperate. At this point, you might be saying, what? How? That doesn't make any sense. For a deep dive into how and why this process works, there is a 2-hour lesson you can go through right here on YouTube. For now, though, let me just say the process does work. It usually generates simple one-word communication systems, but under the right conditions, it can generate wonderfully complex languages. Not only was this discovery made decades ago, but the process has since been mathematically formalized. Again, given Stephen Meyer's educational background, he has to know that this has already been discovered. What he also knows is that his audience is most likely unaware of signaling theory. In this case, aside from just misrepresenting science, he has also made a fool of Ben Shapiro, one of his most influential followers. Before closing, there are a couple of things worth noting here about Ben Shapiro's argument. First off, Ben does not claim that the information argument counts as dispositive evidence for the existence of a god, so it's not complete. He doesn't claim that it fully settles the issue.
That does not mean the arguments are dispositive.
So I do give props to him for the intellectual honesty right there. Second, and this is in defense of Stephen Meyer, even though we do understand how signaling systems evolve, there are specific details about the origin of the genetic code that are not yet understood. The origin of the code happened a long time ago. It's just hard, where we currently stand, to work out as many of the details as we wish we could. But like I said, we do understand how signaling systems evolve once you have two evolving entities under selection pressure to cooperate. Origin of life researchers have reason to believe that before the genetic code existed, chains of RNA or something similar to chains of RNA were already evolving and cooperating with one another. To learn more about this and what exactly we do and do not know about the origin of the genetic code, I've got a 2-hour video on that I made with Stephen Woodford from Rationality Rules. Check that out if you want to know the details. So long for now.